Hey guys, it's Eric Crownover and not Luke from Nerdy Geek Talk, and this is episode 6 of, I almost steal City Bots, of Holocron Herald, the one that's not my podcast. But Luke couldn't attend due to Darth Forge's timing. That's his fault. But either way, this is going to be a short, easy episode. We only have two things. Oh, well, I guess I should introduce you. And Darth Forge is with me today, even though Luke isn't. How are you?
I'm pretty
You're
interesting, I guess.
Interesting is a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we only have two big things to talk about, and the first one's pretty short. So the Han Solo spin-off movie has gotten a title. It is called Solo: A Star Wars Movie. Um, I was mentioning this before the show started. I already thought that's what it's gonna be called because calling it Han, just literally calling the movie Han Solo would be stupid. And so Solo, it works. I'm not gonna call it Han. That'd be even weirder. Um, but yeah, it's good. I'm not overly surprised or like excited by it because I just assumed that's what it was gonna be called. It's basic. What do you think about it? Do you like it or do you think it's stupid or what?
Um, I honestly, I'm indifferent.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I
I'm
would
not
describe it.
excited about it. I'm not disappointed by it. It's just what it
Yeah,
is,
it's just the
you know?
title. That's exactly how I feel about it. Everyone always like freaks out, and I get it, like The Force Awakens or like The Last Jedi. Like, what do those titles mean? But like for the spin-off movies, I mean, Rogue One even had a bit of like a mystery because we didn't know what it was. We know what this is going in, so like it'd be like an Obi-Wan Kenobi film. Like, I don't know if that'd be called Kenobi, but still, like, it's about one character. What are you gonna call it? You're not gonna call it like some grand thing that has to do with galactic events. It just has to do with a character in a spin-off movie. So I don't know. I am not surprised by the title. But either way, the other thing we're here to discuss, the main thing, is season four's of Rebels premiered. The first two episodes went up, and yeah, both of us have watched it. What do we think about it? Well, okay, let's just say straight up right now. Do you, yay or nay? Do you like it? Did you like the season premiere? Not do you like the show? We know that we like the show. Did you like the season premiere?
It was a very strong opener. I did enjoy it. Um, I do have one complaint though.
What would that be?
Uh, and this has kind of been like an overall theme throughout the show. Not necessarily a theme, but it's happened all throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they focus on Ezra or Kanan and their whole Jedi thing that they have going, they're kind of like pretty powerful. But
Mm-hmm.
whenever it's like focus on something else, like it's a being central episode or something, and Ezra's there, they don't really feature him as powerful as they do in an Ezra-based episode. I just kind of feel like the Jedi power, whenever it's used, it's not used consistently. You know
I
what I mean?
I would have to somewhat disagree because he's not facing any force wielders. So I mean, it's hard to say like, oh, he lost to a force wielder. But in terms of like just what he didn't really lose. He jumped out of the out of the ship at one point and took out a Tie fighter just like Bo-Katan did. And like during the fights, yeah, he didn't stop anyone, but like he was like he didn't do anything major. But he and Kanan were on a separate mission, so I think it's hard to say like what they were really doing in the fights where you do see them. I didn't think Sabine took the lead because she was taking the lead on the mission, but yeah, they didn't do anything outstanding. I think Kanan, you have the excuse that, well, in all fairness, like he's blind, so he obviously holds his own, but he's never gonna do anything that's like really like daring anymore because that's mostly Ezra's thing. Um, but yeah, I think it's mainly to draw focus away from him. I don't think it's really them trying to be inconsistent in terms of like, well, he's powerful enough now, but he's not powerful enough in this episode. Like, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's they want to have less of him, like less focus on him and more focus on Sabine. So I'd say that's really the reason why that happens. But I don't know that for sure. That would be my guess. And I'd have to say that I'm okay with it. I'm okay with what we got from Ezra in this episode, in these episodes, because technically it is too. Um, Who is your favorite character in these episodes? I feel like there should be an obvious answer, but who was your favorite? Like, who was your favorite in these episodes? Not who's your favorite in the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just like
Like, who stole the
who I
show?
graduated, yeah,
Yeah.
who I focused on more because of how well they're written
Mm.
or whatever it may be. I honestly thought I forget her name, but she's from Clone Wars.
Bo-Katan.
Yeah, the fact that she's back and the whole thing where she's like she doesn't want to be a leader, but the whole arc from her not wanting to be a leader and her just being there and with her history in Clone Wars, I wanted to see more from her. You know what I mean?
You do realize who she is, right?
Yeah, she was the lady with Death Watch, right?
Yeah, but she's Satine's sister, Duchess Satine.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say
but
that's like
I'm just saying
no, yeah. That you're
with
still right.
the added history.
No, yeah, I think it's great. I think that's why she's so hesitant to lead is because she doesn't want to. Satine did, and not that she's scared she's gonna die like Satine, but it makes her sad because her sister got murdered by Darth Maul. Um, I do think it's interesting that she has the dark saber. I honestly thought that they were setting, like, they made it clear that Sabine was trying to give the dark saber to someone else, but like she had so much growth in this episode, and Bo-Katan was so confident in her that I was surprised that she didn't lead. I don't know. I thought that was a bit odd. Like it wasn't bad, like because Bo-Katan I think will be a great Mandalore, but in terms of like how the story was leaning, it really seemed to drive. It was driving Sabine obviously forward as a character. That was the whole point of these episodes was to for her. But I thought it seemed a little abrupt at the end that like they just switched. They switched it out last second almost. Like cuz they even hyped it up during the episode like Fen Rao was saying like to Bo-Katan like I see you kind of changed your mind on her. Like you're starting to back her up. You're impressed like I was. And she's like, "Yeah, I think she's really got potential. Like, I wasn't sure about first, but the way she's facing this, I think she's great." Like they were showing that she wanted Sabine to essentially be a leader. So I thought it was a bit odd that they switched it so last minute, but I'm not complaining. It's just it was weird. It caught me off guard because I was really expecting Sabine, and I really liked Sabine's growth. I loved seeing Bo-Katan, but I thought Sabine stole the show for me in this one. She was great. It was I honestly thought because I only watched the first episode at first because the place I watch it they posted the first episode, they didn't post the second episode at first, so I just watched the first episode. I totally thought her mom was dead. um, so I was a bit surprised. I was just like, oh man, her family life's always messed up. Like she finally just rescued her dad, and her mom just is disintegrated by a weapon she created. I was like, that is dark, and it's still dark considering the fact that she made a weapon that turned her people to dust. But at least her mom isn't dead, right? I really thought she was going to be dead at first, though. I was like, wow, that is dark for Rebels. My only complaint about these episodes would be there wasn't enough large scale battle for me. Like there wasn't. That's the thing in Rebels though. There isn't ever any like large scale battles. It's always like the crew and some people fighting some Imperials. Like but it's never like more than 20 people at once fighting.
I kind of thought season three's finale was kind of a large scale battle.
Yes, it was more than usual, but still at the same time, I mean, like literally seeing so many people on the screen at once, like Clone Wars. Do you know what I mean? Like getting a shot of the entire battlefield and like, look, there's like 100 clones and 100 battle droids, and they're just going at it. You never see that in Rebels. The stakes in terms of how many people were in the battle in the season three finale, yes, and we did see more people fighting, but we never saw 20 plus people killing each other at once, which is kind of my complaint about the show is that I love that in Clone Wars, so you can see tons of battles. It's mainly a budget thing. They don't have the budget for that anymore. They had the budget for that for Clone Wars. They don't have the budget for that for this show, so they can't animate that many people. But still, I just I think it would be good, especially like you said with the season 3 finale. I think it would have been a great time to have just a shot or two of large scale fighting, but we never really got it. We got big walkers and we got a couple people fighting those walkers, and like there's tons of people evacuating from the base, but never a ton of people fighting at once, which is just something I feel like would be really good to see. Um, was there anything you thought? Oh, what was your favorite part out of all of it, out of the entire premiere?
I'd honestly have to say the very beginning when the initial fight happened was I thought it was a pretty good opener. I thought it was a pretty good fight, and it definitely caught my attention right away.
The first one, is that where Sabine stands up from the trench and like puts out the dark saber, and then everyone gets up behind her?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I loved that, especially how she started it out. That was badass. That was really good. It kind of bums me out that she doesn't have the dark saber anymore. Like it was really growing on me that she had that. So slight bummer, but oh well, live. But yeah, I agree. That was a really good shot, especially because no one else came up. It was just her, and then she literally led the entire charge, which is why I thought it would be natural for her to become Mandalore. But still, Bo-Katan makes sense. I thought it was really neat to see all the Mandalorian clans at the end. We got to see every single one of them. That was neat. I love the Mandalorians. It kind of bums me out that this is probably the last we're going to see of them, if I had to guess, not counting Sabine. Um,
I highly doubt this will be the last time we'll see them. They'll definitely show up.
do you think so? Like with the rebellion?
Um, Not necessarily like with the rebellion, but they'll show them at some point. People love Mandalorians, and I'm sure that they can definitely squeeze out some more stories with Mandalore. So
I I don't know how much to see that though, because like everything we saw Mandalorian in that trailer for the last season was essentially in these episodes. I'm pretty sure, and we have a lot to get through. Um, so like just considering the fact that this is the final season and they essentially have to go through the process of dealing with where the cast ends up, I don't know how likely I see that being. The next episode, by the way, is Saw Gerrera. Essentially, uh, it's kind of his like descent into being disowned by the rebellion. Although I think it's already been pretty clear that they don't really like him too much. But I think this episode is him basically saying, "Look what's happening. This is all literally because you're a bunch of idiots that don't do anything. You have to fight a war. You're literally at war. Fight a war, and like grow a backbone." Is basically the preview I saw for it. And then Mon Mothma comes out and she's like yelling at him, and then he's finally like, "Hey, look, you have some spirit. It's about time. You did nothing, and all your people died." And I think it's really interesting. I'm really looking forward to that because that's an interesting debate in terms of like how far do you go? Like he's a terrorist. He's clearly at one end. He does kill civilians like crazy and everything. He is at the terrorist end, but like there is the other end where it's like, is Mon Mothma doing anything better sometimes because she's literally just sitting there and saying, have hope, and then he makes her upset, and so she gets in kind of a rage. She doesn't do anything bad, but like she's saying like she's like yelling and stuff, and he's like, there you go, there's some passion, like that's what a rebellion should have. So it's interesting how like both of them are just at opposite ends. I look forward to seeing that dealt with. But in terms of Mandalore, I kind of think we're done with seeing the planet, but at the same time, you know how they definitely could work in Mandalorians? Sabine's family, whatever her fate ends up being by the end of the season, whether she goes off with them when the crew separates, or if she dies and we see them do something, I don't know. But that's the only time I could think of that it would like that it would make sense and it would clearly fit into the season because this season's about literally dismantling the crew. Like, there's no other option. Um, what else was I going to say?
that being uh, that being said about the fate of the crew, and this is uh, the the premiere of the last season.
Mhm.
There's there. What do you think is going to be their fate by the end of the season?
I don't think Ezra's gonna die, because I don't think that they would kill off that young of a character on this type of show. I don't. I honestly am not sure if he'll like give up being a force wielder or if he's gonna go off somewhere. I don't know. His character confuses me on where he's gonna end up. Maybe he'll die and we'll be surprised. But I don't see them killing him. But I don't see where he fits into Star Wars if he doesn't get killed. Kanan, I think, is dead. I don't. I don't think it's possible for Kanan to live anymore. I mean, I don't know about you, but we know that Hera lives, and see that's a thing. Because originally I was like, maybe Hera and Kanan's like split off from the rebellion to go live in exile or something at some point, like just forget about the war. She doesn't, because it's clear from the show that she's obsessed with the rebellion. But she makes it to Rogue One. I don't think Kanan's alive by Rogue One. Could be wrong, but the show's gonna end by Rogue One at the latest, and it's not like Kanan's just gonna be chilling around. He's a Jedi Knight now, declared by essentially Yoda, and Yoda says there ain't no more Jedi, so he's dead. I think guaranteed. We know that Hera's gonna live to at least Rogue One. I don't think she's gonna die. She's literally just a rebel. There's no point in killing her off. In terms of like and we know that she's in Rogue One, so it would be hard for them to kill her off, let alone the fact that it's not worth the effort to do so. Trying to think. Who else? Zeb. Zeb, I don't see as being a strong one either way. Like they could kill him off for emotional impact, but at the same time, it doesn't. He can live because it doesn't really. I hate to say it because like I like the characters, but it doesn't matter in terms of Star Wars canon if he lives or not. The only two that it's really strong are Kanan and Ezra. Ezra I don't think will die. Kanan I'm almost certain will die. Sabine, like I said, I want to think that she lives because it's a kids show, but if I saw someone else dying, it'd probably be Sabine. Who knows? Maybe Sabine and Ezra go off and they live in exile together. But whatever, I kind of doubt it. I don't know about Sabine. I don't know about the crew. All I know is that I know Kanan. I'm say that I know. I don't know, but I am sure Kanan's going to die. I am pretty sure Ezra's not. What about you? Everyone else, I'm just pretty much undecided, except Hera. She's going to live, for sure.
Sabine, I can definitely see Sabine dying,
Yeah.
but ideally, I feel like by the end of the season, she's going to go back to Mandalore if she doesn't already stay there.
She's definitely going to go with the Ghost Crew for now. Like she's not staying there.
Well, I mean, after season 4 is done, like whenever all this
is over,
whenever we get to the end of the season, there's going to be something going on in Mandalore, and she's going to have to go back there, and she's going to be fighting with her family and her clan.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I kind of feel like she's going to go. Kanan, he's definitely gonna die. I think there's no question about whether or not Kanan's gonna die. Ezra, I see what you're saying that they probably won't kill him off. But I'm gonna be really disappointed if they don't, because
it depends
even
for me
though
how
he
they
isn't a
explain
full
it.
Jedi, even though he isn't a full Jedi, he's still technically a Jedi.
No, you know what I could see? I could see him going gray. Oh, here's another character we didn't mention. This is an important one
That
too.
is true.
Because that just made me realize the character we left off. Because she's not necessarily part of the crew, but she's important to the cast. Ahsoka. Do you think she lives or dies? Because she's going to be dealt with either way this season. Like that's been said. So, what do you think?
I don't think she's going. I don't think she lives. I think at the very least they're gonna have. At the very most, she's gonna be a Force Ghost or something. I don't think she's going to be coming back as a living being. Maybe as the living Force, but not as
Wait.
a person.
You think she's dead right now?
Yeah.
It's almost guaranteed she's alive. We can go on
Mm.
later, but like even like from Dave Filoni, it's almost guaranteed that she's alive. I didn't tell you about that. He wore a shirt at a panel saying Ahsoka lives question mark. And then they showed the preview for season 4, and then he actually was wearing a different shirt after that that just says Ahsoka lives exclamation point. Technically, you could say that like a Force ghost is her living, but you die and become a Force ghost. So I feel like the phrase Ahsoka lives exclamation point is pretty clear that like she's not dead. But I don't know. There's a little bit more to go into, but I don't want to do that right now. I I think that if she, it's possible, like I said, that she could be a Force ghost. If she is alive, I think that she dies by Vader's hand by the end of this show. If she didn't already, it's possible that she did. I don't know though. Um, but like, if she didn't die, I could see her and Ezra going off and like starting some gray thing. The only problem is that's a loose end that you never tie up because they never appear later. And like when I think a key thing is that we need to take into consideration in terms of like what's going to happen to these characters, some of these characters, is when's the next show going to take place? What time era? If the next show takes place in between like the original trilogy and sequel trilogy, that's just an idea. I'm not saying that's what I think it is or not. Um, then it's possible that like we see Ezra way older, but then at the same time, it's like where was he during all the stuff going down? He just forget about the rebellion? Like, what do you mean? So that's the thing that like I don't know. I'm kind of with you. I don't think that they. I'm eager to see how they explain away Ezra. Whether it's through death, it's possible that he could die. By no means am I saying that he can't die. I'm just saying I think it's unlikely. Um, but they have to explain it some way. I think they'll try something else. I don't think that they would just say like, oh, he's alive. He just went off. Like I think they would give a good reason for whatever happens to him, why we don't see him again. But I don't know. I'm just hesitant to say that they'd kill him. But what do you think about Zeb? Because Zeb's the only one that you didn't mention before I talked about Zeb.
Quick note before Zeb. They could do a thing where he's alive by the end of the season, but then they write a book where he does actually die. If they don't have the guts to do it on the show, they would definitely have the guts to do it in a book or something.
I don't
So they could do that.
so I feel like if they're going to kill him or not, it will happen on the show. So like if they don't kill him, I think they will further his story, but I think they'll write books to explain why he's not there. I don't think they'd kill him off in a book. I don't I I see it as very unlikely to take a main character from a TV show, go all the way through to this climactic ending where it's very possible they could die, and then kill them off in a book afterwards. Like I don't know. I feel like everyone's fate will be pretty set in the show. Like I don't think that if the way we see it in the show, I don't think anything's really going to change afterwards in terms of like what happens to the characters. It's possible that could happen, but again, like that's killing off a main character off screen. It's an odd thing to do. But like you do make the argument that that's something that they wouldn't have the guts to do in the show that they would in a book. Yes, it's more likely for a character to die in a book, but it's pretty unlikely to take a main character from a show and the screen for 4 seasons and then kill him off in a book afterwards. Probably not, only because it wouldn't get the same coverage and stuff, but I don't know. It's also possible that they kill him off because this is the season finale. They don't have to deal with the ramifications, essentially. So, I don't know. But either way, Zeb, how do you feel about him?
This is gonna sound a little rude, but I honestly don't care what happens to Zeb.
Like, I
You
like
said it
Zeb.
earlier.
Yeah. Just doesn't
Him
matter.
living or dying has no effect
On the
on
universe. Yeah, the galaxy.
canon at all.
Yeah,
He
canon.
could just be a rebel that exists throughout the movies, or he could be dead. It doesn't matter. It
You know,
doesn't change anything.
I want
So I
him.
honestly, I don't really care that much. He's not really my favorite character. He's always been kind of in the background more than
Mhm.
anything.
I like him, but
So whatever happens to him, I don't really care that much.
I like him
As
more than
long as it's a
Hera.
good story, I don't care.
I like him more than Hera. I don't dislike Hera. Hera is actually just
Mm,
my least favorite cast member. What about AP5? Do you think he's gonna die or no?
Uh, I think
He better not.
I
I will be angry if he dies.
I think he's gonna be fine.
He better be. Now part of me is just like, well, we see Chopper, but we don't see AP5. But
Well,
he's a droid.
then again,
He
we
could be
also
doing
just
anything.
see
So
Chopper. We also see Chopper just rolling across the screen for a split second.
yeah.
So I don't think just the fact that we see Chopper in Rogue One affects anything on
Hmm.
whether or not AP5 is alive.
Um. Either way, I would like to see Zeb's fate tied with Agent Callus's. Like, either both of them dying together. Like, it'd be interesting to see them dying together, like defending each other or in a fight. Like, both of them like not killing each other, but like because they were enemies, and he's the one that like killed most of Zeb's people. So obviously, but now they're growing together. Like after that episode they had together, and now he turned and everything. So it's I like their relationship. That's the most interesting relationship that Zeb has on the show. So either way, if he goes out, I think that Callus should too. But like we've pointed out, both of those characters have no major impact on galactic events from here on out, whether they survive or not. So they could both just end up being part of the rebellion. I think it'd be either way. I think that they'll end together. Like either they'll die together or they'll be in the rebellion together. So. Yeah. Um. Oh, one. So that's the rebels. One Imperial character I want to mention in terms of do we think they live or die? Thrawn. Yes or no?
I want to say yes, but I also want to see more of him, so I want to say no at the same time. I want to say yes because we don't see him at all.
He,
Um,
he better
but
not die.
whatever.
I will be so angry with Lucasfilm if he dies. I just cannot. I just can't. I can't. He's such a good character. You can't let him only show up for like a year and just get rid of him. His novel is amazing. His novel takes place before Rebels. The next novel is also going to take place before Rebels, I'm almost sure. I mean, it comes out around the same time that Rebels ends, so it's possibly that like he dies on the show, and then that's like a last bit that we get of him. It was a story that took place before, or it's possible that that I'm guessing that book is before Rebels either way, but that he lives through the show and then we get more of him in novels. I would love that because honestly, I love him in the show, but he is perfect in the novels. I would love more books. So let him live and just let him go throughout the books. Let him deal with unknown region stuff. Also, this book sets him up for an interesting the Thrawn book. If you don't want to know any, this isn't a major spoiler because it's not something that really has to do with the main plot of the book. It's just a side thing. Um, Thrawn isn't necessarily that much of a bad guy. He's not super pro Empire. He's more like pro Chiss, and he's just helping out the Empire to see if they can help the Chiss, and that's kind of been established. So he's actually been proven to not be a bad guy. Like he is not a bad guy in the book. So it's very possible that he just straight up leaves the Empire. I don't see a reason he would do so unless someone does something like Vader does something so awful that he's just like, I can't. My morals won't let me be here anymore. I gotta go, and he just goes with the Chiss. It's also very possible that he dies. Either way, I don't see him playing a role in the Empire. Very much. I don't see it very likely after this because he'd be so major. He would show up. It's possible that he couldn't be in the films, but if he lives, he has to play somewhat of a role after Return of the Jedi, which is a huge gap we have yet to be filled. But Battlefront 2 is going to fill that gap, and it looks like the Imperial remnants are coming together. It's possible that someone mentions like Admiral Thrawn's Splinter faction or something, but like he doesn't look like he's showing up in the game, and that's the most important part is that it's the Empire going First Order transition. If they don't even mention Thrawn, he's probably not around, whether that be dead or exiled. But the reason I think it's very possible that he goes to the Chiss is that the other main character in the book, aside from Governor Price, but Thrawn's essentially is like an apprentice almost. He kind of trains someone throughout the book who it's really interesting. That character, he ends up going off to the Chiss at the end of the book because he's not in Rebels, so that's kind of how I think they were planning uh, to like deal with him, is just send him off to the Chiss. So yeah, that's why. Because I was wondering as I read the book, I was like, is he gonna die? Because he's not in Rebels, and I really really liked his character. Like, but he's with Thrawn the entire time in the book. Like that's his thing. No, Thrawn sends him off to help the Chiss because he's trained him to be so good that he's almost like a mini Admiral Thrawn. Like he's almost as good. So yeah, he goes off to help the Chiss. So I think that was almost kind of, it's possible that could have been foreshadowing that, yeah, Thrawn ends up doing the same. I don't know. Either way, I will be very, very angry if they waste a character like Thrawn and ditch him. He shows up for a season and then they kill him. And then that limits the time in which he's alive and doing stuff and that we see of him in Star Wars canon significantly. So I think it's important that he lives. I have doubts though. I don't I could very well see them killing him. I very much do not want them to. More than literally any other character on Rebels, I care about his fate the most, which is ironic because he's not supposed to, he's supposed to be the main villain of Rebels, but you know. Like I said, the book makes it very clear that he's not that bad of a guy. He's not a bad guy. Um, do you want? Okay, so you said that you could definitely see him dying. Do you want him to live or die?
Honestly, they didn't even have to bring him back into canon in the first place. They're they just did that just because they knew the fans would love it, and because they knew that they could write some awesome stuff with him. So the fact that they've even made it this far is great. Um, so really, anything that they do with it, I would really be happy with it because we got more than what we expected to even get out of him in the first place. But um, I would absolutely love for him to live and for them to continue making books and stories with Thrawn. That would be great.
He's
Um,
one of Star Wars' greatest characters, to me at least. But in terms of like character development and their story,
Jar Jar.
it's unquestionable. Shut up! It's unquestionable that he is. I'm not saying he's the top for everyone, but he is on the list of the most complex and interesting characters. Definitely Thrawn is there.
Jar
So
Jar.
I hate you. Plus, he has Death Troopers on the show, which is just awesome. They look so good on the show. Like, they looked good in Rogue One, but I love how they look in the animation. The slightly stylized, and man, it's just so good. But yeah, so that's pretty much all we have to talk about, I think. Oh, do you think we're going to have any more surprise cameos? Let's just get that real quick. If you had to guess one person, one character, like we already know, that we don't know is going to be in the show, who would you guess? Mine's pretty easy.
Uh, do they have to be completely brand new to this show, like never before in this show?
I would say yes, but who are you thinking of? Are you thinking of Lando?
Well, I was just for parameters of what I should be going
Okay.
for. Um,
Be interesting to see the clones again, because we still have Rex with the others.
yeah, yeah, we haven't really seen them. Um, I would have to say, I think it would be cool to see, what's his face from Rogue One, for a cameo. Um,
Chirrut or Cassian, like
yeah,
K2SO.
Cassian, Cassian,
Okay, that would be an
yeah.
interesting one, and that'd be one they could work in relatively easy. The two that I
Or at the
would,
very least, like have them have just kind of like what they did with Rogue One and Chopper, just
and
have
have,
K2SO walking
yeah,
like along in a scene or something.
um,
Although I feel like if they were going to use a character from a movie like that, they would have to make it like a full episode
yeah, which I
because
feel
that's
like
what
they
they've
would.
done
I
with
feel like they
cameos.
would put that in a preview, but it's possible because usually we get a first half of the season preview and then a second half of the season preview. So it's very possible that they're saving him for the second half too, if there is a Rogue One character episode. But in all fairness, though, we already have Saw Gerrera, so that might be what they're saying is the Rogue One um, like character that we have. I would. The thing that I have two that I would like to see. One is more likely than the other. Boba Fett is the one I think is more likely. I don't see a reason not to put him on the show. He's a full bounty hunter now. He's all grown up. Uh, I'm not saying that he has to have a whole episode that arcs around him, but like he's very much a player in the game right now. He's not a little kid anymore. I think it'd be great to show him off for a little bit, especially because you had all the Mandalorians so far. It'd be interesting to see a Mandalorian that isn't tied to all of that conflict, who doesn't give a crap about it, especially going up against Sabine or something. I think that'd be interesting. The other one, which I don't think we're going to see, is Commander Cody. I really, really, really want to see a confrontation between Cody and Rex. I think that'd carry more emotional impact for everyone that watched Clone Wars than like anything else you could see on the show. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think that has the potential to be like a huge thing, like jaw dropper, a really emotional thing, because they were like more than just brothers. They were the amazing duo in the Clone Wars, and then one goes through with Order 66 and one does not. So I would love to see what the heck would go on between the two of them, what they would even say to each other. Like, I just can't even imagine it. That's why I want that to happen so bad. But man, I don't know. Would you like to see that or no?
I wouldn't mind it. It's not that I wouldn't like to see it. It's just I haven't really thought enough about it. I think it would be very cool to see that happen. I don't have an opinion on that reunion in either way.
Because in Legends, Cody did like it. So in canon, obviously, Cody helped the Empire, at least in the beginning. In Legends, like he lived his life serving the Empire, like training and stuff, stormtroopers. So it's very possible that in canon he does the same, like that he stays. But either way, he executed Order 66, which I think would be interesting because we've seen clones that didn't. I think it'd be interesting to see one on the show that did, and if he carries any emotional impact from that, and what the hell he would say to Rex, and what Rex would even say to him. Like I just can't even imagine it. And so I just want to know what they would even do. But alas, I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. So if you guys liked it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Crowbar. You can find Darth Forge at Darth Forge on Twitter. There's links to both of those in the description below. If you like Transformers, make sure to check out Steel City Bots because that is going pretty well right now. Aside from that, possibly look forward to more. Possibly look forward to more podcasts in November because that's National Podcast Month. So it's possible there will be some more plans for that. Either way, thanks for watching and goodbye.